Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to VEGA Conflict. And as you can tell, we're going to take a look through the prize store of Mobilization, see what's worth recommending. And right off the bat, when I was going through it, let's just say that the weapon choices are next to non-existent for actual useful weapons. Psi Missile 2.0, it's essentially just a kinetic psi missile. That's all that is. So not really worth picking up unless targets are clustered, and even then, the range on it makes it not so useful because you can't really fight anything at close range unless you use them on the Renaissance because it removes the minimum range. But even then, that's a stretch for making it useful. So let's go ahead, let's start from the top. We got Igneous Keef. I honestly haven't used him at all. Because first off, what's he do? Increased missile AoE, torpedo weapon speed, bonus damage, resistance, increased cruiser damage. The missile AoE would be useful if it was actually a boost to missile speed too. But instead it's torpedo. And the missile speed AoE overall, I think it would have been better if it was just explosive AoE overall. Torpedo speed makes sense if you're using net torpedo or something like that. You want to get the missile to the target, well, the torpedo to the target a little bit more quickly. The explosive damage is nice, but it's swiftly outpaced by Clay, which is the free-to-earn commander. The explosive resistance is negligible, and that's about all that he really provides, which isn't a lot. The operator, the Valrave, okay, let's see. First up, I'm going to recommend the Valraven before the operator because I've been playing around with my small fleet of operators and honestly haven't found a use for them yet because I've been using the hit and run tactic, and well, I'm going to have to refit them with the Nova Driver to make them enjoyable because the weapon they came with, the damage per second is far too low. And if anyone says to fight with them out of phase, yeah, I'm not trying to take damage with the Pharmacon faction. I'm not trying to watch the damage rack up as they're destroyed underneath their screen. Or it is outpaced. So yeah, no, that ain't happening. Ugh. Emitter Battle Cruiser. Okay, well, that's one I can say I could recommend because I have used them before, and I still use them every once in a while when I want to laugh. But just like with the operator, they're a hit-and-run ship. You fly in, you shoot, you run away. The difference is, I can recommend using all glance cannons with them to do this to make sure you get the highest amount of alpha in your strike. And my Segfault will most likely be refit to use all glance cannons as well, with the intention of just one-shotting something then running away. One-shotting something then running away. Rinse and repeat. Ogre Battleship, can I recommend it? Yes, because I have used it a few times for different targets before I had my Dreadnoughts, but once I started to get the Dreadnoughts, you don't really need it that much. Would it be worth it to pick it up and still use it? It depends on exactly which target you're going to be fighting with. If you're fighting any Pharmacon target, I'm pretty sure you can outpace their recharge with it, as well as force them out of phase and just pummel them to death. You can also drop a net torpedo on it to hold them out of stasis. No, I mean, hold them in stasis and out of phase so they can't run away. Kind of cheap, but it works, and every time you kill one of them, well, we all know the result. It gets stronger because of it. Pre-built Inhibitor Battle Cruiser. Yes. But again, you would need it with a glance cannon, and the only thing they've got currently weapon-wise is this thing. The thing that I wouldn't recommend you fit even on the worst ship in the game. And what else? What I find even more hilarious is so far each of the pre-built ships and the credits have all been for the ship. This wasn't released with the Inhibitor. That was released with the Omega, and everyone knows that that was a failure of a weapon. How could we fix it? Well, I'm not going to talk about that now. Next up, Plexus Carrier Blueprint, and it is, I guess, the full blueprint? Because these are all blued out, which means they're the fragments, so I guess that it's the full blueprint. So, knock yourselves out, pick it up. Just be warned that If you're using a full Pharmacon fleet, it will be the chink in your armor, to say the least about it, because it has absolutely no increased movement speed, unlike every other Pharmacon ship. So yeah, get used to that. Second, we have a bunch of markup grade boxes for ships that aren't even available as blueprints from said event. Paragon Battleship, well that's a bit more of a joke ship because it is very, very hastily outpaced by something like the Ogre. Even the Daemon, under phasing, is still doing better than it. All you have to do is just fly correctly with the Daemon. But the Paragon? No. Its overdrive is weak. I don't even think they changed the overdrive, so it's still in a poor state. The garbage truck, it's still the garbage truck. Once the garbage truck, always the garbage truck. Even if they buff it to be god tier, it was launched as a garbage truck. That's the name that's stuck with it. Zeus. I can recommend picking up a few boxes of the Zeuses because it is a ship that if you do not have a Dreadnought, you can use them to farm for your Segfault. Segfault in turn can be used to farm for the Behemoths so long as you do hit and run, where you just rush up, smash your target, run away like a little coward with your tail between your legs. I would say Omega, but after phasing 2.0, its Omega Beam isn't all that worth it because you have to take damage. And that was the event beginning. But you have to take damage just to activate the Omega Beam, which now that phasing 2.0 has arrived, you're taking more damage. That doesn't sound enjoyable, and I can't recommend it because hit and run tactic, I think the Inhibitor would be better at that than the Omega would. Daemon, I can partially recommend it. I've been playing around with it. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to fit on it to have it at its best for the hit and run. I think I'm going to wind up using Glance for just about every single Pharmacon ship that can equip them, because you want to hit the target as hard as you possibly can and then hightail it out of there, because you want to hit the target and run away while still in phase so you're not taking damage. But well, you're going to have some buffer ships because the phase pool for the Daemons is garbage. I would recommend using an Omega for that. Trojan Cruiser, Inhibitor does it better. Hit and run, just rushes up, shotguns target, and runs away. So Trojan Cruiser, not this time. Plexus Carrier, I'm still iffy about it, so we'll come back to it. Gargoyle Carrier, yes, I can recommend it. Erico, I could most definitely recommend you pick up the boxes for the Erico. Every single thing here, from the Manticore to the Medusa, including the Ogre, even the Wraith, everything here I can recommend from the Umbral standpoint, with the exception of the Phoenix. The fact that it doesn't have ablative, or any form of defense for that matter, and it relies so heavily upon health, means that it's got a large repair time. You're taking direct damage, which means that against other Umbral hosts, they'll be able to regenerate, and you'll be able to do next to nothing to them. So, don't know what the idea was with the Phoenix, but I have Elite Phoenixes. I don't even use them, nor did I ever use them. I built them just as a showcase ship. They sit around, and that's about all they do. Credit items. I can recommend picking up every single credit item because you can replace them with something better and get a reduced refit because of it. I would not recommend sticking with this, whatever we want to call it, kinetic side missile, the garbage gun, trash gun, whatever it's going to be called. Nightingale drones. I can recommend them. Level 2 primarily, and you're going to be using 4 of them on your Segfault Dreadnought. Ifrit thrusters. That is for the Behemoth only, and I never used them because I see all of this as being too heavy of a negative to actually be beneficial for the 50% increased turning speed because, well, let's face it, that's garbage. It turns slow to begin with. It still turns slow. I have next to no issues with targets getting behind me. because you typically kill them in front anyways. Hostility Augment. Again, never used it. Doubt I would because of the weight requirement. Kinetic Zealots. I can recommend picking up level 1 through 3 with the Kinetic Zealots. You're primarily going to be using level 3 to farm for level 4 if you don't have the Behemoth. If you have a Behemoth, you're going to be farming for level 4, and in which case then you would only be using level 4 anyways. Kinetic Murs 1 through 3, the only one I'd ever recommend using though, just like most of the other times, is the level 1, because all I ever use them for is to activate the overdrive of the Erico and to tank a few shots on approach to a target. Exactly why? Well, let's take a look at their health. 2,875 at that, and 1,615. Doesn't really matter because they still get one-shot by most ships in high tiers, so again, primarily using them just to activate the overdrive. Okay, Phase Drain Buffer. Honestly, since the phasing rework, I haven't been using either the Phase Drain or the Phase Charge buffers at all. Thermic Disruptor, ha. I used it once, never again. It's the most useless special that I've seen yet in the game. Deflector Screens. I mean, if you're fighting targets that are doing kinetic damage, yeah, it would make sense to have it. But most of the targets are dealing high explosive or energy damage lately, with a few doing kinetic damage in the background, but I mean the kinetic damage they're dealing is next to non-existent, so pick that up if you think you'll be in situations where you need it. Node Armor 1 and 2, recommend picking it up because, well, it's the armor goes with your Pharmacon ships. You're going to need it to boost their tiny screen capacities. Ablative Tungsten 1 and 2, Thonian 1 and 2, recommend picking all that up. Deflector Resonant Armor. Again, I rarely fight targets that do kinetic damage, and I don't focus on PvP, so I wouldn't know if it would be useful or not, so someone else who has focused on using it or knows what it's good for, go ahead and suggest something in the comment section below. I'll most likely pin your comment, because as you can see, I honestly rarely pick it up because I just don't care about it. Kinetic Siphon Resistor, pick it up only at your own... Pick it up only if you know that it's going to be a negative to your phase drain. If you're going to be in phase for a shorter time frame, instead of actually just using something, I don't know, gives you a 30% reduction. You can pick up for Blood Amber from the store. It's insta-equip. You can pick it up once every 3 weeks. Kinetic Weapon Disruptor, nope, because it's too heavy. Kinetic Echo, Pierce, and Stasis. Well, I can recommend the Echo and Pierce because I use them quite often, despite the fact that I typically don't fight targets with kinetic damage types. If I can't get a matching armor type, I'll just strap a few resistors to a ship and call it good. The Kinetic Stasis Resistor, well, for 8% mass and the 25% and the 15%, if that was a higher stasis resistance value, it would actually be better, but it's not. So I don't see it as being worth the wait, just like with the Kinetic Disruptor Resistor for the Umbral ships, which I never really found to be that useful because most targets don't just apply weapon disruption all the time, so go figure. Gold prize boxes, silver prize boxes, I can recommend picking up both of them because you primarily want the credit items from the gold prize box, and if you're just trying to advance, the silver prize box will help you out because it will lay out a few more additional ships. You can get, again, more credit items. Every single credit you get can in turn be replaced and give you the better credit. Or not the better credit, a better special that you already have, just takes a longer while to refit. Okay, now on to the fittings for the Dreadnoughts. First up is going to be the Behemoth. Because I tend to use the Dreadnoughts often enough, I tend to showcase them in just about every single target video. So let's go ahead and start with the Behemoth. We'll go on to the Order next and end with the Segfault. Naturally, armor builds are always all over the place for the Behemoth because I typically use the Thonian 4s and I have some of every single type now. And I'll typically match them with the damage type I'm taking the most of. And every now and then, if I'm taking a little bit of extra damage from certain types, I'll mix it, as you can see, with the energy and the explosive. However, in the case of the event targets for the skirmishers, it was primarily heavy explosive damage, I mean very heavy explosive damage, and alien damage. But thanks to built-in resistances from Victoria, as well as built-in resistance for the Dreadnought itself, it's fairly good in terms of health. Against alien damage, you just need to boost as much as you can via explosives. Next up, Orator. Fitting still isn't complete, and I wound up using some of the Prime Vulcan 4s to fill in the spaces, because I just ran out of Glance Cannon 4s. And I need to farm for more of them, but lately I've just been too lazy to farm for them. But the fitting as is. And one thing that I've been thinking of doing is replacing all of them with Xenos and specializing them fully against the Pharmacon. But since the Pharmacon's phasing rework, I don't even think I need to counter their special, because they don't do that much, and you can typically outpace their recharge value of a single ship with a single... No, with two Zealots, so that's how weak the recharge is now. But that isn't even the full fitting, and it's not even specialized, because right now, each of the fittings relies heavily upon the resistors as well, and right now it's just a general resistance fitting against everything. No specials, as you can see, because I've had no issues with it so far. Finally, the Segfault, the one that took a heavy hit from nerfing, and oh hey look, it's that one bug again, saying that it has ablative armor. This is all this is the stuff I've had for a very long time on the ship, and I should probably replace it at some point, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But the phase drain buffers and the phase charge buffer, they can just be dropped, because as I said, I just don't use them all that often, and more often than not you're going to be using Fleet Commander Victus with it, so you'll be able to charge up faster anyways, and you'll be able to enter phase. You just don't want to add anything negative to it to start increasing the phase drain value, because again, you want to use them to hit and run. You want to get into the target's face, hit them, and then run away. But this fitting is only temporary, because I need to farm up Celestial Optics 3 again, because I'm going to go for an all Glance Cannon 4 build with it, because hit and run with the hardest weapon you can find, it's going to be the Glance Cannon. You're going to shotgun a target, you're going to run away. If that target's going to die, there's nothing they can do about it. That's going to be how this is going to be. Well, fight-wise. Screens, naturally, they would be changed depending on your target. If you're taking heavy kinetic damage, that's where the kinetic screen would come from, but again, more often than not, I take energy damage or explosive damage, so explosive screens. As for the back, there's no resistors, because again, adding anything to negatively affect the phase drain value is going to be a no-go now with phasing 2.0, because you need every single point of phase energy you can get. And then, as I said earlier with the prize story, you're going to be using the Nightingale 2s. And that's it. That's it, right? Let's see. Yeah, I don't use the Harvester in any of the videos because it's a lower tier item and it just doesn't have the durability it could have. Okay. That's going to be it, everybody. Hope you find the video helpful. Again, if anyone has any recommendations for what I said before, go ahead and leave it below in the comment section. I'll pin it for you all. So that one will be the primary comment. Almost said content. But that'll be the primary comment after I just stopped myself. But that'll be the primary comment that you'll see down there, with the intention of just helping make sure that everyone's making the right choices when they're using something, or if someone had a specific example that made sense for it. But be safe from the void, happy hunting, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.